Your next comic coming to the stage, very funny lady. Please show her some love. Give it up for Priscilla K. Williams.
All right.
Hi, I am Priscilla, and I am a spaz, but I do it so eloquently. Ha! I was one of those ugly ducklings that when I was about third grade, I was 5'2", and I would sing, I'm 5'2", and I have eyes of blue, and I had big old feet, like size 10. My feet and my nose grew first. So I would I was on track, and I would always get ready to take off like this. And as soon as the gun went off, I would just go face first into the grass. And back then, this was a lot more embarrassing than it is now, because you're young and you're just like, God, and I would just get up and keep running, but I would be so far behind everybody else because I splatted all over the grass. It was pretty pathetic. And then I played basketball, and just because you're tall, it doesn't mean you're good at basketball. And I would get confused when they would switch sides, and I would make a basket, and I'd be so excited, and they'd be like, you just scored the other team, and they would be really, really honked off at me, and I'm just, well, I'll just go play for the other team then. Well, you might as well. You just gave them, 2 points. So that was another bit of my spasm. And then I ski raced. I grew up in Yosemite National Park, and we raced, and I'd be in the gate with my poles all ready to go. And as soon as that gun would go off, I would just splat face first in the snow and pick myself up and ski down the gates and come in last again. So that was one of my many spaz things. And then as I got older, one time I was in my 20s, and I was driving in Kansas with one of my husbands. I'm one of those that's been married 3 times. Yeah. Hopefully this time's winner. He's really sweet. He's black, so I always say, once you go black, you never go back. And he always says, once you go white, you know it's right. Thank you. So it was really, really, really hot. It was in the summer, and I was in a Volkswagen bus, and I was driving, and my ex was his husband was asleep in the back, and it was just so hot, and there was no air conditioning. I didn't know what to do. So I took my top off, and I'm driving along, topless, helped a little bit, and this cop state trooper passes me, and I'm like up high, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see him turn around and buzz back, pull me over. So I, as he's pulling me over, and I could see him coming back, I put my shirt back on, and so I get out of the car. What the hell are you doing driving topless? And he was just this short guy with a crew cut, and he had this red face that was just, and I started laughing, and he's like, what's so funny? And I didn't know what else to say. I didn't want to piss him off, so I just said, well, when I'm scared, I either cry or giggle. And he bought it. So he told me not to take my shirt off. So I'm like, okay. Okay, so then, I forgot what the last one was. Shit. My mind just went completely blank. Okay, swell. I wasn't going to cuss this segment either. I just did, didn't I? I was going to try to do one set without cussing. Oh well. Okay, so I remember now. Okay, went out drinking with my wonderful husband now that's so sweet, and I adore him. And I was the designated driver, which I always am. And we were at this bar, and the cops thought they'd be real clever, and they pulled everybody over that came out of the bar. And I kind of weave when I drive because I'm a spaz, and I get pulled over a lot. But I don't drink, so I don't get, hauled in jail. I did like 30 years ago, but not anymore. So they pulled me over, and the first thing I blurted out was, I'm the designated drinker. And then he just looks at me. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I'm the designated driver. And he's like, you just said you were the designated drinker. And I'm sitting there, just give me the breathalyzer test. I don't drink. And I'm sitting there, and he just wasn't buying it. And I kept talking to him like, I'm not drinking. So he could smell that there was no alcohol on my breath. And meanwhile, right before he got out of the cop car, my husband had just had 3 beers and he had to really go to the washroom. And he says, "I've got to go to the washroom." And I'm like, because he's black, I'm like, "Don't open the door, don't open the door, don't open the door." And of course he opened the door and the cop's like, "Get back in the car." And he's like, "Sir, can I please use the washroom?" And he's like, "Go ahead." So he goes in the bushes and I hear all this wrestling. Well, in the meantime, he had dropped off a 20-foot ditch and just rolled around and scratched himself up and ripped his shirt, and he was gone like a really long time. And the whole time he was gone, I'm trying to convince the cop that I wasn't drinking, that I'm not drunk, and he wanted to give me a balance test, and I said, "Well, I'll flunk that too because I'm a spaz and I have no sense of balance." So I just kept saying, "Just give me the breathalyzer, just give me the breathalyzer." And they must be expensive because he never gave it to me. And then my husband came back and said, "She really doesn't drink. I'm the one that's drinking." And he's like, "Well, your eyes look funny." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what's wrong." But that's the end of that. And I will have future stories on my spasm because I'm the biggest spaz I know. And thank you so much for laughing at me. I'm Priscilla.